What's going on, and welcome to Joe's Geek Show, the video series where we talk comics. And before we get started, if you'd like to support the channel, you can do that by hitting that subscribe button, liking this video, and sharing. And with that, DCeased, Dead Planet, issue number 2. Written by Tom Taylor with pencils by Trevor Harrison, inks by Gigi Baldacchini, with colors by Rain Barreto, and letters by Zatanna Fonte. And this issue starts off in Chicago at one of the survival strongholds, with Arsenal keeping an eye out when he sees an oncoming group of blighted ones. He orders the doors to be barricaded when a blighted fire swoops down and kills Arsenal, as the people are left to scurry about, when suddenly John Constantine with a group he calls the Shadowpact come through a portal and begin fighting the infected, when Swamp Thing appears asking to speak with Constantine, but he is unable due to his current status, prompting Swamp Thing to kill every single blighted one in the immediate area. Swamp Thing then mentions of a garden other than poison ivies and mentions survivors there, but John brushes it off, causing Swamp Thing to curse. This gets Constantine's attention and he agrees to assist Swamp Thing, sending Red Hood and Ravager back to Ivy's garden with the survivors. And it's not long before they do get back there, where Harley Quinn welcomes the new survivors, as Rose Wilson tells Harley that Constantine and the others went to Australia. It's also here we're informed that the garden's main line of protection was from the Tower of Fate, giving it a mystical covering. Suddenly, Ivy detects something coming their way, and Dr. Fate plus Mary Marvel head to check it out, with it being Cassie with John and the others. It's also here that Dr. Fate points out that John is beyond medicine since the wound is magical. It isn't long before everyone is safe within the confines of the garden, where here, Damian and Jason have a moment, as well as Green Canary being told she couldn't have the now zombified Green Arrow there, to which Green Canary leaves as the head of Cyborg mentions that there's a cure, prompting Dr. Fate to say, "There's hope." In this time, Damian checks in on Cassie, who tells him how hard it was to see Wonder Woman again and watch her die for a second time. Damian expresses that he's there for her as the two share a kiss. Meanwhile, at the Australian bunker, the Shadowpact arrive and try to fly over the hordes of infected, as well as the Blood Mote, when Detective Chimp points out that the Blood Mote is actually a blighted plastic man who uses his power to skewer most of the Shadowpact, as Constantine, Swamp Thing, and Detective Chimp fall helplessly towards Plastic Man's mouth, while three shadowed figures look on from the distance, figures labeled a greater evil. So essentially I figured this is almost what it would be like stabbing somebody with a really long knife and just slowly twisting it, because ouch, this story hurts. Why? Because more characters are dead. Good characters. Zatanna is now gone, or like many others, now skewered by Plastic Man. But I will say, that is one way to make Plastic Man a badass, because Plastic Man is usually the one making jokes and kind of also being a bit of a joke, but who's laughing now? Nobody. You know why? Because they're dead. And what is it with Arsenal? I mean, does DC have some kind of vendetta against the character? Because in the last few years, he has just had a string of bad luck. I mean, he died in Heroes in Crisis, an alternate version of him on the Vampire Justice League world died in the Flash Forward story, and now he's dead here in the DCeased story. DC, stop picking on Arsenal. He's had enough. He didn't even really get to do anything. I mean, those blighted fires came down and lit him up. At least in Flash Forward, he died fighting a vampire Batman. But speaking of other characters, Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing's definitely one of those characters that I kind of feel like hasn't gotten too much exposure in recent years, and whenever he does, it's usually the short end of the stick. I mean, he appeared in both of the Justice League Dark animated movies, and he basically died in the first one and then was just kind of there for the second one. So it is cool when we get to see him on the page here and being really freaking awesome. Because he just showed up, tried to get Constantine's attention. Constantine couldn't give him the attention because he was fighting the infected. And then Swamp Thing just scared all of them. I'm just sitting there like, where were you this whole time, guy? You figure any blighted one on a blade of grass anywhere, you probably could have taken him out. And also, it's the first time he ever cursed. I mean, I don't know if this is the first time he's ever cursed, but the story treats it like it's the first time he's ever cursed. I mean, even Zatanna and Constantine are both shocked, and, well, Constantine's just more impressed, like, hey, that's more like it. I mean, I would have figured at least when he died and came back as Swamp Thing, that would have prompted a few. But either way, glad to have you here, Swamp Thing. And then we get to one of my favorite moments in this book, and that is Damian Wayne, the new Batman, catching up once again with Jason Todd, the Red Hood. And this is a scene I just really loved because there are just so many layers going on here. I mean, when Jason first started talking to Damian when he saw him in the Batman suit, it almost kind of came off like he was a little bit annoyed that, oh, well, of course, you know, the son of Bruce Wayne gets to be the new Batman. But then it ends up with Jason and Damian hugging and Jason saying, Bruce may have made a lot of mistakes or made a lot of bad decisions, but this wasn't one of them. And I was just like, my heart's melted. Because it's so sad, yet beautiful at the same time. Because both are children of Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, more or less. One biologically, one more or less adopted, but both trained by the Dark Knight himself. And I like, as Jason was questioning, or seemingly questioning, Damian in the Batman suit, Damian actually has enough respect towards Jason to actually explain himself. I mean, I remember when Damian first came on the screen, he was in the mindset of, I don't have to explain myself to anybody. But here, the level of respect that's going on between these two characters is amazing. Because even in the hug itself, I feel like there's so much going on. One, you have Jason accepting Damian as the new Batman. I feel like it's also a moment where they're both also kind of consoling each other because of the death of Batman, something that neither character's really had a chance to do. It's a great scene and hands down my favorite scene in this entire book. And speaking of reactions, we have Cassie, aka the new Wonder Woman, and finally got to see her reaction to the blighted Wonder Woman. Because that was one of the things I kind of felt like was missing from the previous issue. When Wonder Woman popped up, we didn't really get any kind of close-up or visual on Cassie's reaction. So here, when they're in the confines of the garden, the fact that she got to break down and tell Damian how she was feeling and about more or less losing Wonder Woman twice, first to becoming a blighted one and then to her death at the end of the first book. And it's these kinds of character moments that I think are extremely important to a story like this, and also very, very well done here. Also, Cassie and Damian. That's a ship now. I support this. But now we've got some other questions coming about, more or less, who are the three shadow guys? I mean, the way they were looking on, it does seem like that this was a plan of theirs, that somehow they contacted Swamp Thing through some kind of means and lured everybody into a trap, particularly the mystical people. Because, you know, if you're some kind of evil organization in a post-apocalyptic world, you know, you probably want to get rid of as many magic users, if not all of the magic users, as possible. And I have no doubt whoever these three are gonna go down in history as some of the biggest bags in comics. Because, I mean, really, what's your plan at this point? The world's already zombified. Superman's sucking up the sun until the earth just goes all cold and freezes. What could anyone have left to gain? Unless, of course, smart blighted ones. Because I do wonder if that's actually quite possible, seeing as how at the end of the original DCeased story, when Cyborg had gotten the lasso of truth around Wonder Woman proved that they actually are rather intelligent. It's like, holy crap, they can talk, they can think. It seems that it's just that their base instincts are their primary function, so I'm wondering if it's not possible that these three are potentially blighted ones that have been able to overcome those base instincts. And now just have one purpose and one purpose alone: to spread the blighted ones across the universe. Because, you know, there's a whole Earth 2 there ripe for the picking, and many, many others. And if that's the case, then they have the potential of being even bigger. They're fun thoughts, they're fun ideas. I cannot wait to see where they're going next. And I just hands down loved this book enough to score it a 9 out of 10. So DCeased Dead Planet, issue number 2. Have you read this book? I would love to hear your thoughts. please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you like this video, I'd love it if you'd smash that like button, share it with some friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. And if you're wondering what to watch next, consider one of these 2 videos. And don't forget to check out my other videos in the DCeased series. That's right, from the original DCeased to Unkillables to even the one-shot A Good Day to Die. You can check them all out right up here. And also, hopefully, hope at World's End as soon as DCeased print. Alright, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.